MidAmericanWealthAdvisory.com. Now, here's Kendall.
Joined now by Ted McKnight, my good friend, a member of the KC Ambassadors, and generally part of the laugh track that is he and I whenever we go anywhere and do anything. As always, Ted, appreciate you having on. I guess I should have said former running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, Ted McKnight. Ted, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, my man. I'm doing good. It's a beautiful, cold day.
Yeah, exactly right. That Cincinnati deals with it as well, so it should be an interesting game. I want to talk to you a little bit. You having been in the league for a long time as a running back, which is no easy position to stay around for. Talk to me, Ted, and I'm curious from your standpoint, when you watch the Chiefs and Isaiah Pacheco and what he's been doing, and to be doing it as a former seventh-round choice, and he's really stepped into the position in the last couple of games for sure. Just talk to me. I'm curious your thoughts.
You know, he's an exciting guy to watch. I'll be honest with you. He reminds me of Joe Delaney because Joe was small in stature, but the moment he got on the field, it's that old situation where the hair on the back of your neck kind of stands up because you never know what's going to happen. And because he has the ability to get in between a bunch of the big guys and it's difficult for other guys to find him, he just has this wonderful ability to be able to follow the blocks, and that peripheral vision that is something that you can't teach a guy. He seems to have it very well, and he knows how to find the open spot.
Yeah, it's been nice to watch. And even, he had 100 yards a few games ago. This last week, 22 for around 70. But the fact of him adding another dimension, because we all know this Chiefs team is centered, and the offense is centered around the pass and what they do, but it does help it. I'm curious, him being a seventh-round pick, you being, you were a high pick, but you were out of the University of Minnesota Duluth, not your Power 5 school, not something that was all there. Now, obviously, you were doing something right because to get picked in the second round, you were making plays at that level. But I'm curious, when you came in, even with being a second-round pick, was there any type of chip on your shoulder that you were trying to prove anything?
No. It's interesting that you mentioned that because the scouts now will find the individual, that diamond in the rough, so to speak. It doesn't necessarily make a difference where he's located. Because they've got such a good scouting group, they're going to find a guy that normally in the 6th, 7th round you don't think would necessarily be someone that would get picked up, but they know where to look for talent. Now, when I came in, I did not expect to go into the NFL. That wasn't necessarily a goal of mine.
Wow.
But when I did get the opportunity to play, I wanted them to see that I had the ability to play, and I think that there's two different things there. There's the thing of knowing that you can play and having a chip on your shoulder, because I'll be honest with you, I had a buddy that was Lester Hayes. Lester came in with a major chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
But I think that if you have the ability and you know how to play the game, guys will recognize that and they'll respect you for that. And I don't really know a great deal about him, except I've enjoyed watching him run. I don't think he really came in with a chip on his shoulder. I think he came in saying, I can play this game. My size has nothing to do with my ability, as we all know, that there have been guys that are like Spud Webb, the basketball player, small guy.
Yeah.
But look what he was able to do. And so, again, I don't necessarily think that because a guy isn't a ginormous guy, I don't think you necessarily need to have a big chip on your shoulder. I think that if you have the ability to play, it'll be recognized, but not only by the coaches, but your teammates and especially your opponents.
Yeah, that's kind of the game-recognizing game. Again, talking with Ted McKnight, former Kansas City Chiefs running back, led the Chiefs in rushing in 79 and 80. 1978, you led the NFL with the Chiefs record 6 yards per carry. That is flat impressive. And folks, if you don't know, that's really hard to do. I'm curious, Ted, and I'm sure it was your attitude your entire career, but what allowed you to be doing something like that? Because 6 yards a carry is way up there.
Well, honestly, when I came in, Kendall, I was a track guy, and a lot of guys that come into the game are more football motivated. I mean, they come in as a football player. But mine was different. I preferred track over football or baseball or any of the other sports. And so when I got into the backfield, I always thought, okay, the thing that I've got to do is at the point of collision, I've got to be there in order to be able to get through the hole. And that was my deal. Mine was a sprinter's start versus a football stance. And Bill Kinney, who was my quarterback when I was with the Chiefs, used to say, I almost had to turn around and throw the ball to you because you got there so fast. So that was my key to success, was getting to the line of scrimmage as quickly as I could, because at the point of collision, you've got that split second that you can maybe get through that hole and get to the linebackers and then into the defensive backs. So that was what I tried to do. And I'm honored that I had the opportunity of being in that club, and I had a writer that called in and said, there's only 4 or 5 guys that are in the 6 yards per carry club, and you're one of them. Well, I did not realize that. So for me, that was a great honor to be recognized in a club with guys that were pretty elite at the time that I was playing.
Well, you may find this hard to believe, and again, talking with Ted McKnight, former running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, you'd be probably interested to hear that I'm part of the less than 10 yards on one return, kickoff return club in the NFL. So not quite as exclusive as yours, I'm guessing.
Well, but see, they didn't understand your talent, so they were just clowns. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, we could go there. I knew it was going at some point.
I know we could. You left an opening. I'm sorry.
Folks, I apologize. We're not going to be able to go into that internal joke, but it is long and it is funny. Okay, before we let you go, I would ask, the Chiefs signed a running back to the practice squad this week, and Melvin Gordon. Had some great days behind him, hasn't had as much as of late. But I'm curious, just in general, as a running back, coming to a new team in the middle of the year, learning a new offense, what would you equate that to? Do you have to just basically learn the nomenclature and then equate it to what you're used to running in the past and try to draw the comparison? Or I'm just curious your thoughts as a fellow running back.
Well, I think initially the team is going to give him plays that are kind of simplistic in nature. Go left, go right, go up the middle, and get him used to being behind an offensive line. I think that makes the best sense. Give him things that he can understand rather quickly if you want to get him into the game. And then I think over time, over the next week or so, you're able to then learn the plays a great deal more. And because again, as you know, the playbooks are pretty thick, and
yes.
So I can't see you taking a guy, handing him a playbook and said, okay, you've got a week to learn all these plays. That's probably not going to happen. But I think that if you want to get him in, you kind of ease him in gently. You get him used to being behind a line, because again, that also takes a little bit of time to understand how these guys operate up front. The offensive line, they know how they're going to move. Being a center, how these guys are going to operate. You know how they're going to move back and forth. But if you're going to put a new guy in there, you want to get him in there, but you don't want to give him a lot of complicated plays initially, because there's potential that if he misses a block, someone gets hurt. Maybe it's your quarterback. So you keep the things that he's going to learn when he first gets there to a point of just, here's what we're going to do. We're going to hand the ball off to you here. We're going to hand the ball off to you there. And then after time, you get into the more complex plays that you have in your playbook.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, being on the practice squad, he's not on the active yet, so hard to imagine that he would be playing today. But you certainly talk about depth, and bringing in Melvin Gordon as depth at running back, I think, is a spectacular move to at least look at it. So, all right, Ted, we've kept you long enough. I'm going to let you go. But before I do, just to get an idea how you see the game playing out today.
I think that the Chiefs will go in there with the mindset that, we have the ability of beating this team. And if they don't beat themselves, if they don't make major mistakes on offense, defense, and special teams, the chances that they'll win are very high. They are really on a roll right now, and they have targets on their back. And so they're going to have to be mistake-free in order to win the game. And I think that that's going to be the key.
All right. He is former Kansas City Chiefs running back Ted McKnight. Ted, as always, appreciate you joining us. You have a great day. And here's to the Chiefs getting a win today.
I'll look forward to it. Thanks, buddy.